In 2016, a Danish politician named Ida Auken wrote an essay for the World Economic Forum. The title was provocative. Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better. She described a future where nobody owns anything. No cars, no houses, no appliances, no clothes. Everything is rented, everything is a service, everything requires a monthly payment. The World Economic Forum made a video promoting this vision. You'll own nothing, the text read, and you'll be happy. The internet exploded, conspiracy theories flourished. The WEF later claimed it was just a thought experiment, not a prediction or a plan. But here's the thing, whether or not it was a plan, it's happening, right now, to you. I'm going to show you 3 mechanisms that are systematically eliminating ownership from modern life. The housing crisis that's making home ownership mathematically impossible, the subscription economy that's converting every product into a service, and the systematic transfer of assets from individuals to institutions. By the end, you'll understand why an entire generation is being locked out of wealth accumulation, and why the phrase "you'll own nothing" isn't a conspiracy theory. It's an economic reality already in motion. Let's start with the most fundamental form of ownership, your home. For generations, home ownership was the foundation of middle-class wealth in America. You bought a house, you paid off the mortgage, you owned an asset that appreciated over time. You passed it to your children. That system is collapsing. As of 2025, the median first-time homebuyer age hit 40. Not 30, not 35. 40 years old, that's the highest on record. A decade ago, it was 31. Why? Because home ownership has become mathematically impossible for most Americans. The median existing home price climbed to $427,000 in mid-2024. To afford that median home, you need an annual household income of $113,520. The median household income in America? About $75,000. You'd need to earn 50% more than the median American household just to qualify for the median American home. But it gets worse. Owning a median-priced home now consumes 47.7% of the median household's income. That's mortgage, property taxes, and insurance. Nearly half. Your income. Before you buy food, pay utilities, or put gas in your car. The rule used to be that housing shouldn't exceed 30% of your income. We're at 47.7%. That's not a housing market. That's a crisis. And here's the thing. It's not temporary. This is structural. The U.S. has a housing shortage of 4.7 million units. Demand exceeds supply by millions. Basic economics says prices won't drop significantly without a catastrophic crash. Meanwhile, mortgage rates doubled from under 3% during the pandemic to nearly 7%. Even as rates have come down slightly, prices haven't followed. They've stayed high. The damage is done. The result? 54% of renters who want to buy a home think they'll never be able to afford one. Not it'll be difficult. Never. An entire generation is being locked out of the primary wealth-building mechanism that defined the American middle class. But who's winning in this crisis? Who benefits from housing scarcity? There's a narrative circulating online that BlackRock and other institutional investors are buying up all the houses. The truth is more complex, but no less concerning. BlackRock itself doesn't buy single-family homes. They've spent years clarifying this. But that's not the full story. Institutional investors, firms that buy 100-plus homes per year, own roughly 574,000 single-family rentals in the United States. That's about 3.8% of all single-family rentals nationwide. 3.8% doesn't sound like much, until you look at specific markets. In Atlanta, institutional investors control about 25% of single-family rentals. In parts of the Sun Belt, entire neighborhoods have been converted to institutional ownership. The national percentage is misleading because these firms concentrate in specific markets. They target cities with housing scarcity, where they can extract maximum rent. And here's what matters. The trend is accelerating. MetLife Investment Management projected in 2023 that institutional investors could control 40% of U.S. single-family rental homes by 2030. Think about what that means. Not 3.8%, 40%. When institutions buy homes, they don't sell them, they rent them permanently. They convert owner-occupied housing into permanent rental stock. They pay cash. They buy above asking price. They outbid families who need mortgages and inspections. And once they own these properties, they use algorithmic pricing software to maximize rents. The U.S. Justice Department sued RealPage in 2024 for allegedly using algorithms to coordinate rent increases across landlords. This isn't a free market. This is systemic conversion of ownership to rental dependency. But housing is just the beginning. The same logic is being applied to everything else you used to own. 20 years ago, you bought software. You paid once, you owned it forever. Adobe Photoshop cost $600. You saved up. You bought it. It was yours. Today, Adobe doesn't sell Photoshop. They rent it. $54.99 per month, every month, forever. Miss a payment? You lose access to years of work, your files, your projects, everything. You don't own the software anymore. You rent permission to use it. This is happening to everything. You used to buy Microsoft Office. Now you rent Microsoft 365. You used to buy music albums. Now you rent access to Spotify. You used to buy movies. Now you rent Netflix. The average American now spends $273 per month on subscriptions. That's $3,276 per year just to access things they used to own. And it's accelerating into physical goods. Car companies are introducing subscription features. BMW tried to charge a monthly fee to use heated seats. Seats already installed in your car. You paid for the hardware. They want you to rent access to it. Tesla charges monthly. Fees for full self-driving features. Features in the car you already bought. Even appliances are going subscription. Companies are pushing models where you rent your refrigerator, your washing machine, your furniture. Volvo and other automakers offer car subscriptions. You don't own the car. You rent it monthly with insurance and maintenance included. The World Economic Forum essay wasn't predicting this. It was describing a business model already being implemented across every industry. And here's why companies love this model. From a business perspective, subscriptions are perfect. Instead of selling you something once, they sell you access forever. Recurring revenue, predictable income, permanent customer dependency. If you buy Photoshop for $600, Adobe gets $600 once. If you rent it for $55 a month, Adobe gets $660 per year, every year, for decades. Multiply that across millions of users. The financial incentive is overwhelming, but there's a darker reason they prefer subscriptions. Control. When you own something, you control it. You can use it however you want. You can resell it. You can pass it to your children. When you rent something, they control it. They control the terms. They control the price. They control access. BMW can decide heated seats cost 18 month this year and 25 month next year. You already bought the car. What are you going to do? Adobe can raise prices whenever they want. You have years of work in their format. You're locked in. Spotify can remove songs from your playlists. You don't own the music. You rent access. Access they can revoke. Ownership is independence. Subscription is dependency. And when you're dependent, you're controllable. If you fall behind on payments, everything goes away. Your software, your music, your movies, your access to the tools you need to work. This is why the phrase, "you'll own nothing," is so chilling. Because when you own nothing, you have no security, no independence, no ability to build wealth, no assets to pass to your children. You become a permanent renter, perpetually paying, never building equity. Let's connect these pieces. You can't afford to buy a house, so you rent. Forever. Your rent payments build equity for your landlord, not for you. You can't afford to buy software, so you subscribe. Your monthly payments build the software company's valuation, not your assets. You can't afford to buy a car, so you lease or subscribe. Your payments build the car company's recurring revenue, not your ownership stake. Every transaction that you used to build your wealth now builds someone else's. This is a systemic wealth transfer from individuals to corporations. The wealthiest understand this. They own assets, stocks, real estate, businesses, things that appreciate. The middle class is being converted from owners to renters, from asset holders to service subscribers. And this has profound generational implications. Baby boomers bought homes for $50,000 that are now worth $500,000. They built wealth through ownership. Millennials and Gen Z are paying $2,500 a month in rent and $300 a month in subscriptions. They're building nothing. When boomers die, they pass assets to their children, houses, savings, equity. When millennials retire, what will they pass on? A list of active subscriptions? The wealth gap isn't just about income, it's about ownership. And the system is being restructured to eliminate ownership as an option for the majority. Defenders of this model say it's about convenience and flexibility. Why own a car when you can use Uber? Why own tools when you can rent them when needed? Why own movies when you can stream everything? On the surface, it makes sense. But here's what they don't tell you. When Henry Ford introduced the assembly line, he didn't just want to sell cars. He wanted to create customers who could afford to buy them. So he paid his workers $5 a day, double the average wage. He understood that capitalism requires customers with purchasing power. The subscription model does the opposite. It extracts purchasing power continuously without ever transferring ownership. You pay forever. You own nothing. You build no equity. You accumulate no wealth. And when everyone is in this position, who has the money to buy anything? The system eats itself. But the system isn't designed for long-term stability. It's designed to maximize short-term extraction from captive customers. And you are the captive customer. Let's play this forward. By 2030, if these trends continue, you rent your home. Institutional investors own 40% of single-family rentals. Your rent adjusts algorithmically to extract maximum value. You subscribe to your software, miss a payment, lose access to your work. You subscribe to your car. Features that used to be included now cost extra monthly. You subscribe to your furniture, your appliances, your entertainment, your tools. You own nothing. Your entire existence is mediated through subscription services controlled by corporations that can change terms, raise prices, or revoke access at will. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is the logical endpoint of current economic trends. And here's the part they left out of the World Economic Forum video. You'll own nothing and be happy. The happiness is optional. The ownership elimination is not. Now, I'm not telling you there's an evil cabal plotting this in a smoke-filled room. I'm telling you that economic incentives across multiple industries are aligning to produce this outcome. Real estate firms profit from scarcity and rentals. Software companies profit from subscriptions. Car manufacturers profit from ongoing service revenue. Each actor is optimizing for their own interests. The collective result is the systematic elimination of ownership for ordinary people. And governments aren't stopping it. They're enabling it. Zoning laws that restrict housing supply, monetary policy that inflates asset prices, tax structures that favor corporations over individuals. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. Just not for you. So what do you do with this information? First, understand that this isn't about individual failure. If you can't afford a house, it's not because you didn't work hard enough. The math doesn't work. The system is structured against you. Second, recognize subscription creep in your own life. How much are you spending monthly on things you used to own? Software, entertainment, services? Can you buy instead of rent? Can you own instead of subscribe? Sometimes you can't, but sometimes you can. And those choices matter. Third, think about assets. Even if you can't buy a house, can you invest in stocks? Can you build equity in anything that appreciates over time? Because if you own nothing, you build nothing. And if you build nothing, you have nothing to show for decades of work. The wealthiest people in the world own assets. That's how they got wealthy. That's how they stay wealthy. You don't need to be wealthy. But you need to understand how wealth works. And wealth comes from ownership, not rental payments. But there's a deeper question here. What kind of society do we want? Do we want a world where home ownership is a luxury reserved for the top 20%, where everyone else rents forever? Do we want a world where you don't own your software, your music, your movies, or your car? Where everything requires a monthly payment? Do we want a world where independence and security come only through subscription services that can be revoked? Or do we want a world where ordinary people can build wealth through ownership? These aren't inevitable trends. These are choices, policy choices, business model choices, individual choices. But they require awareness, and they require pushback. The World Economic Forum's vision of 2030 isn't destiny. It's a warning. You'll own nothing. That part is happening. And be happy. That part is up to you. If this opened your eyes to what's happening around you, share it. Because this isn't a future problem. This is happening now. The subscription economy isn't coming. It's here. The housing crisis isn't approaching. It's crushing an entire generation. The transfer of ownership from individuals to institutions isn't theoretical. It's documented in data. You'll own nothing. Not because you're lazy, not because you didn't try, but because the economic structure is designed to make ownership impossible and rental mandatory. Now you know. What you do with that knowledge is up to you.